just like Matt just said, you have everything in you that you need. I'm Dr. Jeremy Bischoff. My wife and I started North Star Family Chiropractic about 12 years ago with the vision that and the inspiration that we are a light in the darkness. We called it North Star because the North Star is the guiding star, right? And it helps people find their way when they're lost in the wilderness. And hopefully that's what you guys take to heart tonight when you're hearing all these people speak into your soul, strategies about how to improve your health, right? That's what it's about, is leading you out of the darkness. Because if you have had a look out there in the fear, right, the world of fear, that's where we're at, right? It's not left versus right, black versus white. It's good versus evil right now, right? And so we need to start speaking up and getting louder. And so just some research on why chiropractic is a key part, because you can go months without food, days without water, minutes without air, but you can't actually go 1 second without nerve supply. You actually fall over dead immediately. And so the reason chiropractic falls in, it's one of the most effective ways to pull you out of that sympathetic stress response and put you in that parasympathetic, that feed or breed response. The reason it's so important for immunity, just a couple quick studies. Here's, it's an older one, but here's one they looked at people going through HIV, right? Attacks your CD4 immune cells. They found that if they gave people a fake adjustment, big surprise, nothing happened or changed. And they continued to have a loss of CD4 cells, but when we adjusted them for real, it actually raised their immune system. Their CD4 cells improved up to 48%. Huge change, right? No drug has ever showed that. This one's pertinent for right now. This is an older study, early 2000s back in Canada. They showed that because of that parasympathetic response, when getting an adjustment, it actually reduced your stress hormone called cortisol and raised your immunoglobulin or IgA response to specifically to reduce the incidence and severity of pathogenic invasion of your airways. Kind of an important thing to think about given the last year, right? And then lastly, this is, we always talk about this when we're talking about cancer, but your interleukin-2 pathway, just another immune pathway. Interleukin-2 stimulates a lot of your natural killer cells and your cells that go and hunt out tumors as they grow, right? Because we've all heard that we all have cancer cells growing, but a normal functioning body will go kill those, right? It'll go do its job. Interleukin-2 raised 46 to 48% post-adjustment. So there's no drug on the planet that's ever been made that can manufacture what God already put in your body. In chiropractic, our job is not to change you, it's to help remove interference so that you can do exactly what God made you to do in the first place, right? And with that, I want you to kind of understand how and why that works a little bit. And so I'm going to get away from the analytical and go a little bit into the philosophical, if that's okay, to finish the night. But I want you to think about this picture of these trees. What's cool about these trees, right? In everything in this world, God brought into existence, right? And so these trees, if you think of a grove of trees, if I'm a tree over here, and I'm say, maybe my soil's been a little bit depleted, right? We can all agree that our soil's been greatly depleted over the years, right? What's cool is I can actually send signals to trees over here, and I can actually say, hey, I need a little bit of nitrogen, can you send me some? And I can do that through electrical currents and through hormones and through chemical messengers in the environment and through the ground the same exact way your body can. And that tree can send me some nutrients. Why is that pertinent? Because you were born of a universal intelligence, right? God put you here. You have a piece of that divine in you, which we would call our soul, right? In the center of that soul exists here, where energy, right? We say above, down, inside out, where energy begins is in your brain, right? That's the seat of your soul. That's the threshold that you have to cross over to from man the spiritual to man the physical, right? Nothing happens out here if you can't exert your will on your body. Does that make sense? I know that's a little deep to jump into in 10 minutes. And so what's cool is you can not just influence your own cells, but just like the trees, you can actually influence those around you. This can happen in a good way, but it can also happen in that fear model, right? If I'm scared, I can really scare the bejesus out of my children. I can tell you that negative and fearful things and make your immune system drop. And so And in communities like this, we can also raise each other up. Here's what's cool, just some studies on prayer, which I love. So studies have shown, this is Duke Med, by the way. You'd think they're like the least likely people to study prayer, right? Studies have shown that prayer can not only prevent people from getting sick, but when they do get sick, it can help them heal faster. That's Duke Med. There was a meta-study done. 125 medical studies looked back at the link between health and regular worship. You guys would be happy to know 85% of those showed that people who regularly worship live longer, right? And it's because as we put good stuff into our spirit and we think and perceive good things, we actually change our chemistry. There's some science to this, I promise. But research at San Francisco General Hospital, last one on prayer, they looked at the effect prayer. They were studying 393 cardiac patients. All they did was they asked people who were complete strangers, they gave them a name and told them to pray for that person. So the people praying had no idea who they were praying for, no idea what their story. And out of the 393 cardiac patients, the people who were prayed for had fewer complications, fewer pneumonia cases, and needed less drug treatment. So I want you to, as an action step tonight, start praying for those you're already praying for those you love. Pray for the ones who are struggling, right? The ones who you know need help. Your perception creates reality. Bruce Lipton said, from the moment we create a thought, our DNA starts changing and rewiring. We can literally think a physiological change. Just like Denise was saying, there's actually 3 causes of stress, right? That's what chiropractors talk about stress too. We talk about 3 causes: physical, chemical, right? The stuff we put in our mouth or breathe in or touch, put on our skin, or emotional, right? And those can all create a physiological change. Our cells don't know what's happening unless our brain's perceiving it and telling it what to do. But our brain is an amazing adaptive system, and that's what God blessed us with. We're phenomenal adapters. And so what's cool is that science is always proving God right. If given enough time, science always proves God right, and this is cool. So this is a more recent study, 2016. They found that when we have an interference, a stressor, physical, chemical, or emotional, it actually down-regulates the function of a part of our brain called the prefrontal cortex. There's no quiz on that. You don't have to remember it. But that prefrontal cortex is responsible for all higher level thinking. And it will diminish your brain's ability to see what's happening in your body and in the world around you. Literally, those senses, it can't make sense of exactly what it's reading because the function is diminished. What's cool is the same study showed that when we adjust your nervous system, it's like hitting the reboot. It's like, anybody have a printer that goes haywire and you call the tech guy and the first thing he's like, well, did you turn the power off and turn it back on? Yeah. That's why we adjust people and we always say the power is on, because it's rebooting the system. And they found that if we can keep pressure off of the nervous system progressively at a higher degree for a longer amount of time, the healthier you will be and the better your brain will function and see and be able to react to what's going on around you. That's why it's so cool. So here's, that's a really small slide to show you how your brain gets everywhere. But just like Denise was saying, that stress response, when we are living in a stressed out world, right? When we're being told crazy stuff by the news all around us, when we're sitting at a makeshift desk at a kitchen table for a year on Zoom meetings, when we're not eating well, when we're not sleeping, we get locked into that state where our digestion goes down, our serotonin goes down, our immune system goes down, our hormones get crazy. That's not healthy for anyone to live there. We can agree on that, right? And so with what we do in chiropractic, in addition to all these awesome lifestyle changes, is if we can remove that interference and keep it gone, it helps break that pattern and pull you back into that parasympathetic response. Case in point here, this lady on the left didn't come to us for low back pain, even though she certainly probably had some. That very bottom vertebrae that doesn't line up there was interfering with the nerves that go to her uterus and ovaries. She came to us because she was out of hope and she was trying to get pregnant. Her husband was fixed. There's a whole long story there, relationship-wise, but they were trying to have a baby, so they're going through in vitro, and she had 3 chances. She had used 2, and she had 2 months left. And she was sent to us just at her last-ditch effort. And she said, Dr. Germano, is it really possible? And I said, of course it's possible. God made you to work, and he made your body to work perfectly. And if you remove the interference, God will do the healing. We went and she came, she said, it's going to take work. She came diligently. She did exactly what she was done at home. She did lifestyle things to change multiple areas. And in 2.5 months, they did that. Last opportunity, she now has a little baby girl because God makes bodies to work, not to fail. Right? God needs no help. God needs no help, just no interference. I continually remind people like her, listen, that's not because Dr. Jeremy's awesome. Don't give me the praise. Give God the praise. We're just here to help remove interference. That's it, right? We remove interference and it works. We see wild stuff because we specialize in advanced spinal correction. But the cool thing is every time it changes, great things happen. So if I can kind of bring it home for the message of this whole night, we have a very specific formula that we follow to change spines and nervous systems. We know this works, and if we do it and you follow it, we know your structure will change and your nervous system will raise. We've just done it long enough, we know it works. What you've heard tonight is an exact same formula that we know if you institute it in your life, your function will be better and you don't need to worry about the next virus that's going to be the next one to come out in the next 2 to 4 years, seems to follow election cycles. You don't need to worry about the next BS that's going to be told that you need to be afraid of, because you know that you progressively build health and you work the way that God made you in the first place. And so with that, I want to end inspiring you, and I'll even end a little early because I don't even have my 1-minute sign up yet. I want to inspire, maybe it's just because she fell asleep, I don't know. I want to inspire you to reach out to somebody that you know, right? You have a whole team of people up here who are more than happy to help you, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so many of us who are willing to help. You might be the only light in the darkness for those people who you know, right? Who you can reach. For that person who's struggling for you, be the next light in the darkness for that person. Apply what you've learned tonight, put it to practice, and go teach somebody else, because I don't remember who said it, but we need a whole lot more people to get a whole lot more vocal if we're going to make change. Thanks and God bless.